Shabbat Shalom, and welcome back to this Torah portion, this cycle that we are doing here in the Light to the Nations channel. I hope you are having a blessed Shabbat, and I want to thank all of you for joining us today in this study that we just initiated this cycle in last Shabbat, and I really hope this is going to be a blessing to you all in the same way that it's blessing us here at home. So, we will continue today with this portion in the book of Devarim, Deuteronomy. This is the second portion of on the book of Deuteronomy that is called, let me see here in my notes, it's called Ba'et Hanan. And this is basically the meaning in English is and I pleaded. And as you see in the title of this broadcast, this is going through the chapter 3, verse 23 to the chapter 7, verse 11. So, we will see what the Ruach is talking to us, to my heart, to your heart today, while we read this portion together. And, that I like to do this studies in these ways because, we can learn together just to sharing what is in our heart, what the Ruach is putting in our heart, to learn together and to make progress in the way of YaHuWaH by exchanging information, by exchanging what the Ruach is putting in our heart. I'm doing it here in front of you in the camera, but you have the chance also to share your thoughts and what is in your heart in the chat. So please feel free to do. I think we have an amazing family every time that we are gathering all together to have this time, this set apart time together, and to be ahad. That's the most important thing. So I see 21 of you connected so far, and I'm really blessed to have all of you here. And, as we always do, and let me share the song with you all. So let's start, inviting YaHuWaH, inviting His presence to be in our heart, and to invite the Ruach of Elohim to guide us in this study. So let me share this song with you, and let's listen together. I like this one. It's from the Shiloh and Hod. This is a beautiful song. So let's do it. Here we go.
צבאות ונצום על מוח אתה ונחזיק מעמד ונקמע את כל אדוני קורא ואומר זהו דור דורשיו מבקשי פני שרים כל הכבוד כל הכבוד זהו דור דורשיו מבקשי פני שרים כל הכבוד 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 לך על מה שעשית על מה שאתה עושה על מה שעוד תעשה אבא אבא טוב אבא טוב כי הפרוכת נקראה ואנחנו מתקרבים לתוך הקודש קודש הקודשים הפרוכת נקראה ואנחנו מתקרבים לתוך הקודש קודש הקודש הפרוכת נקראה ואנחנו מתקרבים לתוך הקודש אבל המילים שהפרוכת נקראה ואנחנו מתקרבים לתוך הקודש קודש הקודשים כל הכבוד כל הכבוד כל הכבוד כל הכבוד כל הכבוד כל אנחנו דור נושע מבקשי פניו שרים כל הכבוד כל הכבוד אנחנו דור נושע מבקשי פניו שרים כל הכבוד
You know, with the same spirit, I will invite you to close your eyes and let's pray together to YaHuWaH. Abba, we want to thank you for this moment. We want to thank you for your presence. YaHuWaH Elohim, you deserve all glory, all praise. The desire of our heart is to be that generation that seek your face, that generation that have your heart, O Elohim. The song was saying, Anachnu dor shav. And we want to live it. We want to be that generation. We want to get closer to you and to allow you to guide our steps, to guide our lives. And sometimes, so YaHuWaH, we are so stiff-necked as our forefathers, not allowing you to guide us, not allowing you to show us the way forward. And we want to pray to you in this moment that you can teach us, that you can give us that kind of heart that is allowing you to guide us in every step of our lives. Thank you, Abba, because you give us the opportunity to be echad in you through your Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, to be echad in you in this moment through your Ruach, because you are triggering that fire in our heart, that fire for you. And we want to give all glory to you in this moment, in your Kodesh day, in your set-apart day, in the Shabbat, inviting you to be with us, no matter that we are far away from each other. Your sons and daughters that are here studying your word, that no matter the distance, that you can be with us, that you can make us feel closer through your Ruach. And we are inviting you, Abba, in this gathering, this virtual gathering, to teach us your ways. All of us are your servants, Abba. You are the one teaching us. Yahushua, our Mashiach, is our Rabbi. And we ask you, Abba, that you can open our understanding to your voice, our ears to your voice, that we can give our hearts to you in this moment, allowing you to teach us your ways. Thank you for being with us in this moment. Thank you for this gathering. Thank you for your people, Israel. Thank you for my brothers and sisters out there, because we can feel the love of Yahushua in our hearts that is uniting us. And I pray in this moment that you can bring all of those that are seeking your face, that maybe are not realizing that need of you that they are feeling in their hearts, that maybe they are not realizing yet that they need you, that you can bring them to your light, to your ways. And somehow we can do something and we can be part of that, bringing them up, bringing them back to your ways. We ask you, Abba, that you can use us in your hands to be part of your service, to help others, to show your light and show your truth. Thank you, Abba, for your presence. Thank you for making us echad in you. And guide us today. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach we pray. Amen. You know, it's so beautiful when we feel the presence of YaHuWaH in our hearts. I have been telling you this in the past, that you know, it's something happening every Shabbat and every time that we we praise YaHuWaH and we pray to Him, and we allow His presence to guide us. Something that I think we will speak a little bit about this in the portion. But something has been in my heart lately is that in these days of in today life, in these days that we're living, we need to do an extra effort to get closer to Him. And sometimes it's not easy. It's not easy because we are dragged so much with the current of this crazy way of life that we are living in these modern times. We are pushed so much to put our attention, our mind, our eyes in the worries of life. YaHuWaH was speaking about that in different places, different moments. That I think it requires an extra effort from all of us to get closer to Him, to avoid any distractions that's happening and coming to our lives, and get closer to Him. We were discussing a few weeks ago, and I think it somehow is related to the portion. I will put the scripture in the screen just in a minute, and we will read it together, and we'll see what the Ruach is speaking to us today. But it's important I mentioned this before. We were discussing here at home a few weeks ago. It's sometimes we serve YaHuWaH with our mind, and we try to know Him intellectually. And it's not a bad thing to do. Actually, I think it's part of how we need to get closer to YaHuWaH, how we need to do the effort to know Him. But I think and I feel and I believe it's not the only way to, and it should not be the only way to do it, to get closer than to try to know Him. I had the chance to talk to a brother this week, and I was mentioning something similar to what I'm going to say now. Is that we can get to know a person by reading about the person. If that person was sending letters to us, as in the past, or emails in today's world, we get to know the person somehow. We get to know the heart and the mind of the person. But we are not going to really be able to know completely that person unless we get closer, unless we get face to face, unless we start hearing His voice, unless we get to be closer to the presence of the person, unless we spend time with that person. It's the same with YaHuWaH. We can read His word. In the examples that I'm giving is basically reading the letters of the person. And we are going to get to know Him, what is in His mind, what is in His heart. And that's a very good starting point. But we are not going to be able to know Him really if we don't do it through our own experience, by getting closer to Him, seeking His face, as the song was saying. If we try to know Him intellectually only, we are not going to get to know Him really. And I do believe that this is the time, especially, the that we need to do this extra effort in these days is that we need to get closer to His presence. We need to do our effort to read with as much as we can His Word, because it's gonna help us to know Him. But if we stop there and we stick only on that, we are gonna miss so great opportunity to really know Him and to allow His presence to guide us and to know Him really, who He is, and to know His heart. I don't know if I have been sharing this with you in the past, but I remember when I started to walk, when He was opening my eyes to the truth of His entire word that is totally applicable to us in these days, was back on 2012. I spent an entire year. It was a kind of sabbatical year because I lost my job in 2011, and I didn't have the chance to get a job until the end of 2012. Was a special year, I would say. A difficult one from the material point of view, because you can imagine not having the income, supporting a family, and having debts and so on. It wasn't easy from that point of view. But it was from the other side. If I look at it, it was a very special year because I was pushed by Him to get closer to Him. And why I bring in this experience to share with you, because I remember that He was opening the doors, and He was bringing me to some of His truth little by little. But I remember in one moment, I think it was mid-2012 most probably, is that I started to have this need inside me. Started to have this real need, this hunger, that it was sometimes painful. Painful not physically, but emotionally, that I needed to have an encounter with Him. And, He was, as I said, He was guiding me in some of the truth and so on. But I was missing something. I was in need of something. I was in need of Him. And I remember that one day was very painful that day, because I was so much touched emotionally that I went to a room and started to pray to Him. And what happened that night was something that I'm not going to forget in my entire life, because what I felt inside me and outside me is something that is kind of a glimpse, if I can say so, of what's coming on His kingdom. Why I'm bringing this example to you, and not just to try to tell you that I am somebody, not at all. I have a lot of mistakes in my life, and also I think I'm going through similar situations. All of us are going through similar situations in different aspects of our lives and going through the same challenges. The reason that I'm bringing this example to you is because of what I felt in that time. Is that that need to get closer to Him, to get to know Him, not only by reading His Word, get to know Him by feeling His presence, not to know Him intellectually only. We are going to be able to know Him when we allow Him to get inside us with his presence and his Ruach, and to know him, no matter that we don't see him, to know him, to be one with him. And I do believe in these times we need to do this the most. We need to ignite that need in us to get back to him and get to know him in this way. Continue reading his word and his letters to us. But he is there, knocking the door of our hearts, asking us to get closer to him, asking us to open the door and to allow him to fill us with him, with his presence. And that's going to be the only way that we are going to be able to really know him. Okay, now I'm feeling much better. I needed to tell you all of this. So let's see what the portion is bringing to us today. So let me put the scripture here. And let's see what the Ruach will guide us today in this portion. So let's go to the book of the Devarim, Deuteronomy. This chapter 3, verse 23. And we're going to read together, and let's see what the Ruach is bringing to the discussion and to this study. So it says the following, starting on the 23. And I pleaded with YaHuWaH at the time, saying, O Adon YaHuWaH, O Master YaHuWaH, you have begun to show your servant your greatness and your strong hand. For who is a mighty one in the heavens and or on earth, who does according to your works and according to your might? I pray, let me pass over and see the good land beyond the Jordan, this good hill country and Lebanon. But YaHuWaH was enraged with me for your sake. He would not listen to me, and YaHuWaH said to me, enough of that. Speak no more to me about this matter. Go up to the top of Pisgah, and lift up your eyes westward and northward and southward and eastward, and look with your eyes, for you do not pass over this Jordan, but command Yahushua and strengthen him, and make him brave, for he shall pass over before this people and cause them to inherit the land which you see. And we dwelt in valley opposite Beit Peor. I remember it in the past, I mentioned this, and I think it's going to be something so beautiful. Because we know, and we will read later on this book, that Moses, he gave his life somehow. The last day of his life on earth was on the top of that mountain, where he was able to see the land. But even that he was so close to the presence of Abba, as we were discussing a minute ago, he was not able to cross the Jordan. But can you imagine what a beautiful experience will be when he is going to be resurrected, and he is going to be resurrected in the place he died. And I really do believe that at the moment of resurrection, it's going to be, and it's going to feel like every time that we are going to sleep at night and we wake up the next day, and it's a kind of a continuation. We don't feel sometimes this period of time that we are sleeping. It's feeling just like a moment. I do believe it's going to be something very similar when we are going to be resurrected. So for Moses, it's going to be a moment in time. When he will see again, will be in the same place that he died, and he is going to see once again all the land that he saw, as we read here, but this time he's going to be able to cross the Jordan. And I think YaHuWaH is giving us the opportunity, by these examples, to understand that it's important to get closer to him. It's important to to know him. But in the same time, and we'll see later in the next chapter, is that we need to do the effort, the extra effort to continue in his ways always, to do his will. Because the example of Moses not being able to cross the Jordan is something that should got our attention, that we need to be faithful until the end. We need to avoid trying to go according to our own understanding. Moses failed in one moment, and we can think that maybe this is unjust, this is unfair, but the YaHuWaH is a faithful Elohim. He knows why he does things. Maybe he will get to understand why he didn't allow Moses to cross the Jordan because of that situation. But we need to take the example in our own lives, is that getting closer to YaHuWaH, but continue walking in his ways, being obedient to his voice all the time, till the end. Endurance. As YaHuWaH and Yahushua was telling us, that those ones that are going to endure until the end will be saved. Those ones that are going to endure until the end will be able to cross the Jordan. And I think, and we are living these times of period in the human history that is required for all of us to get strong in the word, get strong in YaHuWaH. And because the time is coming, and it's coming soon, that we will be required to endure. And I think we are in this period of time that we are have the time to develop that type of endurance. But one thing is important for us to remember all the time. If we try to do it by ourselves, we are going to fail. The only way that we are going to have the strength to endure until the end, if we allow YaHuWaH to give us his strength. How? Through his Ruach in us. You remember all the disciples, in the book of Acts. They were so touched because the master wasn't with them anymore. But they believed. The hope was high in his hearts after they saw the master resurrected. And he was giving them the instruction to go and wait. And as soon as they allowed the Ruach of Elohim to be in them, they got the necessary strength in order to support any persecution. They got the necessary strength in order to endure until the end. So, if we really want to cross the Jordan, we really want to endure till the end, we should not do it by using our own strength, because if we do that, we are going to fail. We need to seek YaHuWaH's face and to allow the Ruach of Elohim to give us of his strength, because that's going to be the only way that we are going to be able to do it. So that's somehow related to what I said at the beginning, is to get closer to him, to get to know him, and to let the Ruach of YaHuWaH to guide us. So let's move on and let's read the chapter 4. It's a long chapter, but there's so beautiful pictures here that we can stop and comment about. So it says, "And now, Israel, listen to the laws and the right rulings which I'm teaching you to do, so that you live and shall go in and possess the land which YaHuWaH Elohim of your fathers is giving you. Do not add to the word which I command you, and do not take away from it, so as to guard the commands of YaHuWaH your Elohim which I command in you." So, here in these just a few verses, we see what's the purpose of Torah. Was the instruction that Moses was giving to Israel. And remember what we were discussing last week. Moses was the guiding, YaHuWaH was guiding Moses to speak to the second generation, telling them the story as in first person, as that generation, the second generation, was the one doing what the first generation was experiencing. And this is something important because, it's just to engage and to ignite that fire in the second generation, just to get them engaged that they were part of Israel, that now they had the second chance that their father totally missed. But understanding the example and the experiences from that first generation, they were not going to commit the same mistake. That they were going to be the one fulfilling what the first generation was unable to do. So he was speaking to them in this way, and he's saying these are the laws, the mishpatim, the hukim, the laws and the right rulings that I'm teaching you to do. But what's the purpose? So that you live. The entire purpose of Torah is life. We know that Yahushua is the one giving us everlasting life. And we know that Yahushua is the word of YaHuWaH, made flesh. So you see all these connections and how this is reinforcing the idea that walking in this way, being faithful to the covenant of YaHuWaH by the hand of Yahushua HaMashiach, is the way that we are going to have life. So, and it's not only that, it's going to be the way that we are going to be able to cross the Jordan. So we should go in and possess the land which YaHuWaH, Elohim of your fathers, is giving you. So it says in the verse 3, your eyes have seen what YaHuWaH did at Baal Peor, for YaHuWaH your Elohim has destroyed from your midst all the men who follow Baal Peor. And that was happening with the second generation. But you who are clinging to YaHuWaH your Elohim are alive today, every one of you. So we just discussed about endurance that Yahushua was speaking about, that we need to endure until the end. How we are going to be able to do it. The secret is here, the key is here. Is to cling to YaHuWaH, is to hold so fast with all our strength in His hand, allowing Him to guide us, allowing Him to open the doors. That's the only way that we are going to be able to live. See, I have, it says the verse 5, I have taught you laws and right rulings as YaHuWaH my Elohim commanded me, to do thus in the land which you go to possess. And you shall guard and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding before the eyes of the peoples, who hear all these laws, and they shall say, only a wise and understanding people is this great nation. For what great nation is there which has Elohim so near to it, as YaHuWaH our Elohim is to us, whenever we call on Him? And what great nation is there that has such laws and righteous right rulings, like all this Torah which I set before you this day? So, again, this is for me the theme on this portion that I think is so relevant for us today. We can understand and we see, understanding and wisdom is coming from Torah of YaHuWaH. The beginning of wisdom is the fear of YaHuWaH, the reverence to YaHuWaH. But we see, in our days that society has been rejecting the word of YaHuWaH. Society is rejecting Mashiach. Society is thinking that what is written is not true. It's just, stories. Even there's some people that are saying that this was written just to manipulate the masses. Those people had not been really seeking the face of YaHuWaH. They have been most probably trying to know Him intellectually instead of trying to know Him by experience. And, we see the opposite of what is written here, that we don't see people saying that, only a wise and understanding people is this great nation. To the contrary, they are persecuting those that are like us, that have decided to go in a different style, in a different way, in a different mindset, with different lifestyle. They are totally not recognizing the wisdom and understanding that is in the word of YaHuWaH, the understanding and the wisdom that are coming from his Torah, and from his mouth, from his mind. But even in that scenario, what we see in the chapter in verse 7 is so important, because Moses was repeating and repeating, Moshe is repeating and repeating, what great nation is there which has Elohim so near? So YaHuWaH is near to us. YaHuWaH or Elohim is to us whenever we call on him, it says. So, he's there. And he is going to be with us, close to us, if we really call on him. If we call on his name, everybody that is calling on his name is going to be saved. But what it means to call on him, when we're calling somebody, is that because we want to get closer to him, or that body to get closer to us. So I think this is a question that we need to ask constantly, frequently in our days. Are we calling on him? Are we letting him to get closer to us? Because I really, and I think all of us here in this gathering, and if you are not here with us live and you are listening to this video later, we all know that YaHuWaH is there, that he is close to us. But sometimes we forget that we need to call on him and to let him get closer to us. And that's an attitude that we need to have. That's a mindset, that's a habit that we need to develop, is to believe that he is there, that he is close to us, that it depends only on us to get closer to him and to allow him to get closer to us. Let's continue in the verse 9. Only guard yourself and guard your life diligently, lest you forget the words your eyes have seen, unless they turn aside from your heart all the days of your life. And you shall make them known to your children and your grandchildren. And this is something interesting. This is the first time that I see it in this way. It says, only guard yourself and guard your life diligently, saying, lest you forget the words your eyes have seen. In this, can you imagine, not everybody back then had the opportunity and the privilege, as we have today, to have the written words of YaHuWaH in our hands and able to see them. They were somehow dependent on what the prophets and the priests, the Kohanim, were reading to them, to the audience, to the people. But they were not able to see the words. So what it means here is to forget the words your eyes have seen. And I think this is really profound and important, because it's an evidence, it's a new example that the word of YaHuWaH is alive, that what is written is becoming something physical. It can become something physical that we are able to see. The people of Israel, they were able to see and hear the manifestation of YaHuWaH Elohim, manifesting his words and his promises to them. Is that, even the instruction of YaHuWaH is something that we should be able to see as soon as we put into action. So this is important, because somehow He's saying to forget the words your eye has seen is to forget even to put into action the words of the instruction of Elohim. Is to turn aside from your heart. And it's everything, most of the time, a matter of the heart. It's what we decide. It's what is our priority. If we understand that Torah is important as part of the everlasting life, and we remember and we get closer to YaHuWaH, that's going to be the only way that in our heart will be the priority to continue seeking His ways and not forgetting His words by put those words into action in our own lives. Let's continue in the verse 10. The day when you stood before YaHuWaH your Elohim in Horeb, YaHuWaH said to me, assemble the people to me and I make them hear my words so that they learn to fear me all the days they live on the earth and teach them to their children. And this is so important, you know. That's why the three aspects are necessary. Get closer to Him, to get His presence on us, to hear His words by reading His words in Torah, in the entire scripture, word of YaHuWaH. So we learn to fear Him, we learn how to get closer to Him, we learn how to continue in His ways, but also teach them to their children. We were discussing last week about this, is that the importance that we prepare the coming generation. You know, in the same way that Moses is doing here, telling to this new generation the stories from the past, so they can learn how to fear YaHuWaH and to fulfill what the forefathers were unable to do. This is something we need to do. You know, society is so crazy nowadays. I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but we see that there's some issue, big issue, in terms of education. We were discussing with the here at home the other day is that somehow everything started with the change in the way that society and family were working. You know, young kids somehow are being grown up alone in their homes. They don't have the same structure they had in the past. And I think we have failed in terms of how to educate the coming generations. And we see what's going on in society today with the new generations. It's not all of them, that's true. But most of them that are following lifestyle totally different to what we saw in the past and especially what the scripture is teaching us. So, you know, it's making it more difficult for us to teach the word of YaHuWaH. But, you know, we are instructed to do so. And we need to find ways to do so. Because in the same way that society has failed in terms of educating children, most probably we have failed in educating children in the truth of the word of YaHuWaH. But we need to do something in order to change that situation. Because, you know, they are the ones that are going to continue after us. And if we don't do something in order for them to learn the fear of YaHuWaH, can you imagine what kind of society will be? You know, I really know and I really believe that we are in the last days. And I really believe that soon, very soon, we'll see the prophecies of the word of YaHuWaH fulfilling even more than today in front of our eyes, that the time is near and Yahushua is coming. But even though that we have that faith and that we believe this, we cannot forsake the generations. Because if we are mistaken and there's still more time to wait, those children need to continue spreading the truth of the word of YaHuWaH, and they need to be prepared in this time in order to fear YaHuWaH and to learn from Him. It says in the verse 11, and you came near and stood at the foot of the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to the heart of the heavens, darkness, cloud, and thick darkness. And YaHuWaH spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. You heard a voice of words, but saw no form. You only heard a voice And he made known to you his covenant, which he commanded you to do, the 10 words, and he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. And YaHuWaH commanded me at that time to teach you laws and right rulings, Hukim and Mishpatim in Hebrew, for you to do them in the land which you pass over to possess. Therefore, diligently guard yourselves, for you saw no form when YaHuWaH spoke to you at Horeb out of the midst of the fire. Let me stop there for a moment. And this is something that I had the chance to talk this week as well. We see here Moses telling the people about how they were able to hear the voice of YaHuWaH speaking to them out of the midst of the fire. It is mentioned here in the verse 12, and YaHuWaH spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. You heard a voice of words. And he's saying again in the verse 15, when YaHuWaH spoke to you at Horeb, it says here, out of the midst of the fire. YaHuWaH speaking out of the midst of the fire. What would happen if that fire is not there? Are we going to be able to hear his voice? And you know what I was saying this week, the discussion that I have the privilege I have to talk to a brother, is that, even I'm going to take the example of my experience back in 2012. When I was having this deep need to get closer, to seek his face, was YaHuWaH the one igniting and lighting that fire inside me, because that was the way that I felt it. It was fire, something that it wasn't me the one triggering it, but there was something else. It was him. And most probably you went through a similar experience, but YaHuWaH igniting the fire in us. And he did it for us because of his love for his people. But if we take a look in the scriptures, especially on the instructions and the service of the Kohanim, the priests, they were the one with the responsibility. They were the ones in charge of keeping the fire burning in the altar. Everybody was bringing offerings in order to offer the sacrifice, an offering to YaHuWaH, a burnt offering, an ascending offering. But for that they needed fire. Who were responsible of keeping that fire burning was the Kohanim. They were bringing the wood and they were setting the wood in the altar, so the fire was a constant fire there. And the same thing, with the altar of gold for the incense was the same. So what's speaking to us, all of this, is that we have the responsibility, each one of us, to keep that fire burning. We are the one that we need to take a look and be responsible of not to quench that fire. We have the responsibility, because we are going to be kings, melachim in Hebrew, and priests, kohanim, to keep that fire burning in order to offer our service and our offerings, our ascending offering to YaHuWaH. And no matter that he, at the very beginning, in my experience in 2012, he ignited the fire. He did it for me. Now it's my turn. It's my job. It's my task to keep that fire burning, to bring the wood, to serve YaHuWaH as a Kohanim, to keep that fire burning in me. And why is this so important? And how is this connected? Why I'm talking about this? How is this connected to this portion. YaHuWaH spoke in the midst of the fire. If we really want to hear his voice, guiding us, teaching us, and giving us his words, the only way that's going to happen if our fire is burning, if our fire is in us. He is not the one responsible to do so. It's your responsibility and my responsibility to keep the fire burning. And if we do so, in the same way that this generation was able to hear the voice of YaHuWaH out of the midst of the fire, we are going to be able to hear his voice as well. And in this time is so much needed. This is the time, in this phase of the human history, in this time of our lives, is our responsibility. We need to do it the most. We need to understand that we have to do it to increase that fire in us. And he will help us if we do it with all our heart. So we need to put more effort. We need to do it consciously. We need to understand that it's in our hands to do so. And he will be there to help us to ignite that fire even more in us. So let's continue. Therefore, diligently guard yourself, for you saw no form when YaHuWaH spoke to you at Horeb out of the midst of the fire, lest you should do corruptly, and shall make for yourselves a carved image in the form of any figure, the likeness of male and female. And I spoke to this in the past, this is something that we felt here at home a long time ago, that no matter, and we will see the 10 words later in this chapter, is that we have been commanded not to do and not to bow down, not to worship any idol. But here specifically in this passage is saying that we should not do corruptly by making carved images. And when we saw this many years ago, we decided to remove from our house anything that has a volume, a carved image with 3D volume, imitating something that was created by YaHuWaH. Because we felt compelled to do so by reading this passage. And I think I remember I was sharing with you this in the past, that even we were feeling this amazing shalom at home once we were removing all these images from our houses. So, you have to do it only if you are being guided by YaHuWaH through his Ruach to do so. Again, this is the way that he is inviting us to walk with him. Not because somebody else, in this case me, is telling you to do it. Just sharing my experience with you. So it says, let's read it again. Lest you should do corruptly, as should make for yourself a carved image in the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, or the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the heaven, the likeness of any creature that creeps on the ground, or the likeness of any fish that is in the water under the earth. So again, it's something that has been created by YaHuWaH that we try to imitate, like in making a carved image in a 3D volume type of thing. Unless you lift up your eyes to the heavens and shall see the sun, the moon, and the stars, all the hosts of the heavens, and you be drawn away into bowing down to them and serving them, which YaHuWaH your Elohim has allotted to all the peoples under all the heavens. And I have been speaking about this in the past when I have been sharing with you about the calendar. Worshipping the host of the heavens, has been pushed so much in our society from old, that we are surrounded for the many aspects on worshiping the host of the heaven, in the name of the months, in the name of the days, and in many other ways. We have been surrounded by society. Actually, if you have not seen this video that I did a long time ago, I think I titled this "We Are Not of This World." We are not of this world. I think I went through some of these things and how we have been inherited, and the presence of those empires from old are still in place today. That's why, when Yahushua is coming, as is prophesied in the book of Daniel, that this rock, God without hand, is coming to destroy the statue in the dream of Nebuchadnezzar, is that basically is because the legacy of those kingdoms are still in our days. And part of the legacy of those kingdoms is exactly what is written here in this passage, is basically worshiping the host of the heavens. So that's why, every time that we are walking in the way of YaHuWaH, and this is something so amazing, that he's only the only one able to do so, is to open our ears and our eyes to see and to learn more. We are not going to be able to see all at once some things that are around us that are somehow not aligned to his ways. But he's going to be revealing to us little by little what we have to remove from our lives. And in that moment, we need to make the decision to remove it. And when we do so, we are going to start feeling more peace, more shalom. And we are going to allow him to get closer to us. Because, we are making the decision to live according to what he's teaching us, instead of living according to what we have been lied from the system of the world. So let's continue. But YaHuWaH has taken you and brought you out of the iron furnace, out of Mizraim, to be his people and inheritance, as it is today. And I think this is totally applicable to us. He took us from the system of the world. He started to open our eyes to his truth. He took us from the iron furnace, out of Mizraim, out of Babylon. He is setting us apart to his kingdom. So if he did it, we need to continue making that decision day by day, allowing him to guide us even more. And YaHuWaH was enraged in the 21 with me because of your words, and swore that I could not pass over the Jordan, and that I could not enter the good land which YaHuWaH your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance. For I am to die in this land. I am not passing over the Jordan, but you are passing over, and shall possess that good land. Guard yourself lest you forget the covenant of YaHuWaH your Elohim, which he made with you, and shall make for yourselves a carved image in any form, as YaHuWaH your Elohim has commanded you. And this was also a critical one in the passage, because in any part it's saying serving and worshiping those images. It's saying to make for yourself a carved image in any form. It's something that, if we do so, is somehow part of forgetting the covenant with YaHuWaH. For YaHuWaH your Elohim is a consuming fire, a yellow cell. When you bring forth children and grandchildren, and shall grow old in the land, and shall do corruptly, and make a carved image in the form of whatever, and shall do what is evil in the eyes of YaHuWaH your Elohim to provoke him, I shall call the heavens and the earth to witness against you on that day, that you soon completely perish from the land which you pass over the Jordan to possess. You do not prolong your days in it, but are completely destroyed. And when every time that I read this, I remember what Yahushua was speaking about, that he was not coming to judge the people. He was not coming to witness against us. I think it's in the book of John that it is talking about this. Because he said, and I think I have here the note, let's go. I think it's in the book of John. Yes, let's go there because it's important to connect those things. John chapter 5. Let's go to the verse 45 and 47. Here we have. So it says, do not think that I shall accuse you to the Father. There is one who accuses you, Moshe, this Moses, in whom you have set your expectation. For if you believe Moshe, you would have believed me, since he wrote about me. But if you do not believe his writings, how shall you believe my words? So Yahushua was reinforcing exactly what we are reading here in the chapter 4, is that basically is Moses the one that he's going to call the heavens and the earth to witness against us if we forget the covenant of YaHuWaH, if we try YaHuWaH, and if we do corruptly against his covenant. So we see this amazing connection on how to harmonize the word of YaHuWaH, what Yahushua was speaking about, and what we see in his Torah. Everything is a one. It says in the 27, and YaHuWaH shall scatter you among the peoples, and you shall be left few in numbers among the nations where YaHuWaH drives you. And there you shall serve mighty ones, the work of men's hand, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. And you know, this is so interesting. When I was reading early today, we see it in the other way around. We see what YaHuWaH is, and what he's able to do. He's able to see, he's able to hear, he's able to eat, he's able to smell. He's comparing those that people are saying are Elohim somehow with him. And this is so wonderful, because when we see in Bereshit, in Genesis, when it says Elohim, let's create man in our image and our likeness. And we see, in this statement, that he's able to do, and we are able to do the same that he is able to do: see, hear, eat, smell. So when we think on how to serve YaHuWaH, we need to think on the same senses maybe we have, he also has. We have to serve him entirely with everything we are, because in the same way he is going to receive it. But from there you shall seek YaHuWaH your Elohim, and shall find when you search for him with all your heart and with all your being. In your distress, when all these words shall come upon you in the latter days, then you shall return to YaHuWaH your Elohim, and shall obey his voice. For YaHuWaH your Elohim is a compassionate El. He does not forsake you, nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers which he swore to them. So this is for us in these days, and is totally connected to what I was sharing with you at the very beginning, is to seek him with all our heart, is to keep that fire burning in us, understanding that we need to get closer to him. We get closer to him. Even in the middle of our distress, he will be with us. I have in my notes here from last year, is the connection with the parable of the prodigal son. And in case of the prodigal son, is something so similar. It's totally connected to what we see here in this portion. But without going into the details, just to understand that it's from my point of view, 3-step process. And what we see in the parable of the prodigal son is 3-step process of teshuvah, of repentance. And the first one, is to wake up. If you remember the parable, in one moment when he was in the middle of pigs, he didn't have anything to eat, and he was deciding to eat the same food that the pigs were eating. He woke up and he realized he just was able to see his condition, where he was, and realized also what was happening. So he woke up. That's the first step. And I think this is exactly what YaHuWaH has been doing throughout the years, and especially in the last few years. He's waking people up in the same way that he did it with you and did it with me. He woke us up in order for us to be able to lift our heads and start looking around and seeing what's going on, where we are, what's the situation of the world, that we are in the middle of sin, that we are in the midst of darkness. Just having this opening of the eyes to be able to see. First step, waking up. Second, repentance, is remembering how good was to be in his father's house, how good was to be under his father's coverage. He didn't miss anything. He had good food to eat. He has servants. He has everything he needed was there. And he developed that need in their heart to go back, to ask for forgiveness, to realize that it was better for him to be under his father authority than trying to be alone doing his own will. So second step is repentance from within, decision from within, comparing, understanding that it's better this than the decision that I already made. And the third step is the action, is to return, is to do something, start walking back to that place. Is the action to go back and to speak to YaHuWaH, to look and seek him. And you know why I'm bringing this? Because it's exactly what we see here. This part of the portion is talking about Teshuvah. You should return to YaHuWaH in the latter days, in the verse 30. Returning to YaHuWaH, to do Teshuvah, requires these three actions. To wake up, to decide, repent, and to return, to walk back to YaHuWaH, to our Father. You can see it, and now, you know, I'm just realizing why I'm speaking. Everything is so connected. He woke us up, but this is something what we need to do day by day, especially in these times. We need to do this process day by day, deciding day by day that it's better for us to be under his wings. It's better for us to be on his house. It's better for us to continue under his instructions, under his rules. Because if we do so, and we are close to him, following, serving him, he will provide to us everything we need. But we need to do it not only here in our mind. It's part of the process. We need to decide internally. It's somehow keeping the fire burning. But also we need to do the action. And sometimes all of us are failing in the actions. We have the desire in our heart. We are convinced internally in our mind that this is the way we decided many years ago to live. But we fail time to time in the action. How to complete what we feel. And that's why, you know, we need to do repetition. Now, let's speak about that in a minute. So let's continue. For ask now of the days that are past in the verse 32, which were before you since the day that Elohim created man on the earth, and ask from one end of the heavens to the other end of the heavens, whether there has been a word as great as this, or has been heard like this. Has a people heard the voice of Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire? Again, repeating again, the voice of the midst of the fire. As you have heard and live? Or have Elohim tried to go and take for himself a nation from the midst of a nation? By trials, by signs, by wonders, and by battle, and by strong hand and a stretched arm, and by great fearsome deeds, according to all that YaHuWaH your Elohim did for you in Mizraim before your eyes. And you know, this is something that we need to keep in our hearts as well. The time will come, and we believe will come soon, that he will do it again with the second great Exodus. He will take us with this great, with his strong hand out of the nations, taking a nation out of the midst of another nation by trials. It's true, that's coming. But what we need to remember, that he already did it. Maybe we are still in the dispersion. But no matter that we are living in, you know, in different countries, in different places of the world, and maybe we have our own customs, our way of living according to the society and the country traditions. There is something that we need to recognize, that We are different. We are not following the same traditions, most probably. We have our own traditions. And even the people living in our places look at us and they see that we are different, that we are having different traditions. We are doing different things that are not according to the tradition of the place we are living. So what is that? It's exactly what YaHuWaH is doing. He took a nation. He's taking a nation from the midst of other nation. You, in the place that you are living, are part of the nation or the kingdom of Elohim. That's why you are different. Here in the place that I'm living is the same. So he is building his kingdom up, and he is taking and creating his nation out of the midst of many nations. In this case, not only one nation that was Mizraim, Egypt, in the midst of many nations, waiting for that moment that he is going to do it physically, taking us by his hand. But it's important that we realize that he is already doing it. So it's giving us an additional strength that he is helping us. He decided for you and for me to be out of the nation where we are and to be part of his nation, because he has seen something special in you and me. And that should give us a strength to continue being part of the kingdom. You have seen, you have been shown it, it says in the verse 35, to know that YaHuWaH himself is Elohim, there is no one beside him. From the heavens he let you hear his voice to instruct you, and on earth he showed you his great fire, and you heard his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved your fathers, therefore he shows their seed after them, and brought you out of Mizraim with his presence and with his great power, to drive out from before you the nations greater than stronger than you, to bring you in, to give you their land as an inheritance as it is today. You know, and in the past, if you remember, I was speaking about this, the two-step salvation. One step, the first step is to bring us out, with the second step in order to bring us in. And we see this exactly what's happening with the forefathers. He brought out Israel out of the slavery by grace because of the oath he had with the forefathers. But the second step to get in, to bring them in, required obedience. Obedience to his instructions. That's why the first generation was unable to cross the Jordan, because they were not obedient to the instruction of YaHuWaH. So it's important to see salvation in this way. Two steps. We are going to be completely saved at the moment we are able to cross the Jordan. But in order to cross the Jordan, first we need to get out. And this is not by ourselves. In the same way, you know that the prodigal son, in the first step that we were discussing, was able to walk up. It wasn't his decision. It was YaHuWaH in the parable waking him up. So getting out is something that YaHuWaH is doing for us. In the same example that I was giving you about the fire, he ignited the fire in us. He did it. That was part of the process to get us out. But now it's our responsibility to keep the fire burning, is to be obedient in order to get in the two-step salvation. It says in the verse 39, and you shall know that today, and shall recall to your heart that YaHuWaH himself is Elohim in the heavens above, and on the earth beneath. There is none else, and you shall guard his laws and his commands, which I command you today, so that it is well with you and with your children after you, and so that you prolong your days on the soil which YaHuWaH your Elohim is giving you for all times. And you know, Moses later on is talking about in this last part of the chapter 4 about the city of refuge. But the point here, you know, I think we have been talking about many important points. Seek YaHuWaH, seek his face, keep the fire burning, understanding the two-step salvation, that he is doing something for us. but we need to do something for him, being obedient, to be under his wings. Let's move on, Let's go to chapter 5 and let's see how much more we can find. So it says in the verse 1, and Moshe called all Israel and said to them, Hear, O Israel, the laws and right rulings which I speak in your hearing today, and you shall learn them and guard to do them. YaHuWaH Eloheinu, our Elohim, made a covenant with us in Horeb. YaHuWaH did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us, those who are here today, all of us who are alive. YaHuWaH spoke with you face to face on the mountain from the midst of the fire. I stood between YaHuWaH and you at the time to declare to you the word of YaHuWaH, and you were afraid because of the fire, and you did not go up the mountain, saying, and this is the 10 words. Let's read it because it's important to remember. And this is something, before I continue, it's something I was reading in a book yesterday that is really interesting, about the voice of YaHuWaH, voice of Elohim. The book was saying is that YaHuWaH has been always having this desire to speak to men and women. He was doing it in the Gan Eden. He was walking in the midst of the garden, speaking to Adam, Hawa, Eve. And in the same way, he descended in Mount Sinai. He was speaking to his people. They were able to hear even his voice. But because of sin, our attitude has changed. How has changed is basically what is written here. People was afraid of listening his voice. They were totally afraid because they were thinking that they were going to die by listening the voice of Elohim. Can you see the difference? Adam and Hawa, when they were living in the Gan Eden, they were expecting and they were used to hear the voice of YaHuWaH. It was part of their life. But now, after sin, people being afraid of listening the voice of YaHuWaH. And this is something that should make us think in what position we are. Are we afraid of listening his voice? Or are we seeking to his voice as part of our routine, our day-to-day life? And, I'm gonna, I don't know if that was the case or what I'm going to say. But if you remember what is written in the book of John, I think it is the chapter 1, is that the light came to the world, but the people rejected the light. They decided and they preferred to stay in darkness. So their works were not going to be seen by men because light revealed everything. Could it be that maybe people were afraid of listening the voice of YaHuWaH? Because listening his voice required something important from all of us. And what is it about? Is what Yahushua was speaking. Listening the voice of YaHuWaH required our own decision to deny ourselves. It requires to have this mindset and this attitude. Your will, nor mine. It requires to resign to what we think is good for us. It requires to, jump into the pool, if I can say so. Letting him to guide us in each one of our steps. So being afraid, it could be because we know that as soon as we hear his voice, we will need to do as he is telling us to do. And if we think in the parable of the prodigal son, as I was speaking before, if we understand that we have two ways available for us, and if we really believe that by following this way of our is going to be good for us, it should help us to make the decision much easier, because the decisions are not easier. It's not easy to make those decisions, especially when our emotions are involved, But it should make us the situation much easier for us to decide that if I go this way, by denying myself and allowing Him to guide me, I'm going to prolong my days on the soil that He's given me. So it could be maybe that's why it was the reason that we were afraid. So it says, I am YaHuWaH your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, out of the house of bondage. You have no other mighty ones against my face. You do not make yourself a carved image, any likeness of which is in the heavens above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. And I see this commandment, this word, in 2 steps, is not to make for yourself and not to bow down. So there are 2 steps, not to make, as we were reading in the chapter 4, but also this second step of the commandment, not to bow down to them, nor serve them. For I, YaHuWaH your Elohim, am a jealous El, visiting the crookedness of the fathers upon the children, to the 3rd and 4th generations of those who hate me, but showing loving commitment to 1,000 to those who love me and guard my commands. And this is so important. There are 2 decisions. When the first time that I see it, started to look into the verses and prepare a study about those who hate YaHuWaH. I have the title of a study, haven't completed, because it's clearly seen here that there are certain group of people loving YaHuWaH, but other group of people hating YaHuWaH. And in our days it's so easy to see this happening. People hating YaHuWaH. People hating, they don't call it like that, they call it hating God. Especially this generation. And that's why, we need to put things in balance somehow. We are those ones loving YaHuWaH by doing what? Guarding His commandments. Continue, you do not bring the name of YaHuWaH your Elohim to naught. For YaHuWaH does not leave him unpunished who brings His name to naught. Guard the Shabbat day to set it apart as YaHuWaH your Elohim commanded you. 6 days you labored, and you shall do all your work. But the 7 days are Shabbat of YaHuWaH your Elohim. You do not do any work, you nor your son or your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your ox, nor your donkey, nor any of your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates, so that your male servant and your female servant rest as you do. And this is so important, if we go into the details. We need to keep the Shabbat, and we need to somehow allow the rest to keep Shabbat, even if they're not keeping it. The ox, the donkey, the cattle, the animals, the stranger, maybe they're not keeping the Shabbat, using the same words here in the commandment. But the commandment is for us, that we should allow them to keep it. It's going to be their decision if they do it. But we should not participate in a situation that we are not allowed, or we are pushing people not to keep Shabbat. That's the way that I see this commandment, just sharing with you. It says in the 15, and you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Mizraim, and that YaHuWaH your Elohim brought you out from there by a strong hand and by an outstretched arm. Therefore YaHuWaH your Elohim commanded you to perform the Shabbat day. Respect your father and your mother, as YaHuWaH your Elohim has commanded you, so that your days are prolonged, and so that is well with you on the soul which YaHuWaH your Elohim is giving you. Do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, you do not bear false witness against your neighbor. And listen to this, you do not covet your neighbor's wife, nor do you desire your neighbor's house, his field, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, his ox, nor his donkey, or whatever belongs to your neighbor. Why I'm saying that we should keep an eye on this last one? Because this is exactly what society is pushing in these days. That all of us, we need to be equal. All of us, we need to have access to everything. Is that what YaHuWaH is teaching us in His Word? Actually, He's teaching us that we need to be content with what He's giving us, because the earth belongs to Him, and He give according to His desire. I always remember the parable of the talent, when Yahushua was speaking about. To some, they gave 1 talent, 2 talent, 5, and 10. So YaHuWaH is giving according to how prepared we are to manage His belongings, what belongs to Him. So He has prepared a way of life that His righteousness is instructing us how to take care of others that are having less. The responsibility of those that are having more for those that are having less. But also to be content, as we see here, on what YaHuWaH is giving us. Not to covet of what the others are having. And we see society is pushing us in one direction that is totally opposite to what YaHuWaH is instructing us and teaching us. This is something that, when we're teaching our children, because we need to teach them, as we were reading before, we need to teach them in this way. We need to be content with what we have, what YaHuWaH is giving us. And as soon as we are prepared, He is the one who is going to bless us, giving us more if we are prepared to do so. I'm a witness of that in my own life. He has been blessing my ways in an amazing way that it doesn't I cannot take anything on me that it was me doing so. He has been the one opening the door and giving us of His blessings. So, this is part of what we need to teach the generations as well. These words YaHuWaH spoke to all your assembly in the mountain from the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness with a loud voice, and He added no more. And He wrote them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me. And it came to be, when you heard the voice from the midst of the darkness, while the mountain was burning with fire, that you came near to me, all the heads of your tribes and your elders, and said to me, See, YaHuWaH our Elohim has shown us His esteem and His greatness, and we have heard His voice from the midst of the fire. Today we have seen that Elohim speaks with man and He lives. And now why should we die? For this great fire is consuming us. If we hear the voice of YaHuWaH our Elohim anymore, then we shall die. We still are afraid of hearing the voice of YaHuWaH. For who is there of all flesh who has heard the voice of the living Elohim speaking from the midst of the fire, as we have and thus live? And you remember that was interesting. I cannot imagine Moses hearing these words from the elders, because Moses was able to hear the voice of YaHuWaH in the burning bush. So I put myself in the shoes of Moses and listening and hearing these people. Why do you want to hear the voice of YaHuWaH? Because he experienced hearing the voice of YaHuWaH. Why are you so afraid? You remember Moses was afraid as well. As soon as YaHuWaH was commanding him to do something, he didn't want to do it. But at the end, he was obedient. But here we see the group of people having this great fear of hearing the voice of YaHuWaH. Why? We should not be like that. We should be wanted to hear His voice continually. It says in the verse 27, You go near and hear all that YaHuWaH our Elohim says, and speak to us all that YaHuWaH our Elohim says to you, and we shall hear and do it. And YaHuWaH heard the voice of your words when you spoke to me, and YaHuWaH said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of these people, which they have spoken to you. They have done well in all that they have spoken. And, let me read the 29. Oh, that they had such a heart in them to fear me and to guard all my commands always, so that it might be well with them and with their children forever. God said to them, Return to your tents. I'm wondering why YaHuWaH said they have done well in the verse 28. They have done well in all that they have spoken. YaHuWaH said that what they said is good. They don't want to listen to my voice. What they're saying is good. Why YaHuWaH was saying that? The only explanation I have, what I felt a long time ago, and we spoke this, I think, in Virtual House Church a few weeks ago, is that sometimes we think and we believe, and it's not a wrong thought, is that YaHuWaH is turning bad situations into good things. When we're talking about Bathsheba and David, we're talking about this. And that's the common way to see things, is that basically he is turning a wrong situation into something good. But I was sharing with you that there is a second angle that maybe is something that we're not able to see. But maybe YaHuWaH is allowing these things to happen, this wrong, according to our eyes, wrong thing to happen, because he's able to see the full picture, the big picture. And those wrong things to happening needed to happen because it was part of the plan. That situation needed to happen in order to continue in the implementation or in the fulfillment of his plan. So why I'm saying this? YaHuWaH is saying that what these people said, that they don't want to hear my voice, is good. What they're saying is good. Why? Because the people were asking for a mediator. The people were asking for somebody else to hear the voice of YaHuWaH, and that somebody else to teach them the ways of YaHuWaH. And I do believe this is part of a preparation. In this case, the mediator was Moshe, but was a preparation to the coming one, Yahushua HaMashiach, our mediator, to be the one receiving the words of YaHuWaH and guiding us and leading us on the way of YaHuWaH. I do believe that YaHuWaH allowed this to happen is to prepare the ground for Mashiach to be that mediator. And that's why sometimes I'm so impressed when people start, especially not believers, they start doubting why we need Mashiach. Why, if we can go directly to Elohim, to a Father, why we need Mashiach? And here we have the key for that. It was Israel. And remember, Moses was speaking to the second generation as they were the first generation. It's like it's with no time. Israel without time is Israel. So if Israel from the past decided and asked for something, Israel of today is basically following and have to follow the same as it was asked in the past. So if Israel asked for a mediator is needed. It was Moses in one moment. There were many mediators, but today is Yahushua HaMashiach. So how come we can say that we don't need a Mashiach, we don't need somebody else to be in the middle, when it was Israel the one asking for a mediator? It doesn't mean that we cannot go directly to Abba and to pray to Abba. Not at all. It was Yahushua himself teaching us that we need to pray to him, to Abba, that we need to seek his face, that we need to follow his ways. Mashiach is leading us in the way of YaHuWaH, acting as the mediator that same people was asking in this case. So, we don't need more evidence to defend the position of Mashiach than this, what is written here, was the same Israel asking for this. It says in the 31, "But you stand here by me. Let me speak to you all the commands and the laws and the right rulings which you are to teach them, and they shall do them in the land which I am giving them to possess. And you shall guard to do as YaHuWaH your Elohim has commanded you. Do not turn aside to the right or to the left. Walk in all the ways which YaHuWaH your Elohim has commanded you, so that you live, and it be well with you, and you shall prolong your days in the land which you possess. So, we were discussing here with my wife about this point. In all the places in this portion, it says that the commandment is to do it in the land. But it's also saying that we need to walk in all the ways which YaHuWaH your Elohim has commanded you. There are certain people that says that we don't need to keep the commandments in this time because we are not in the land. But for Israel in the wilderness, it happened the same. They were in the learning process. And not only in the learning process, to learn the commandments, because it will come one time that we will need to apply fully in the land. And there was no more learning process. We need to learn already how to put into actions the instructions of YaHuWaH and the commandments. We are in that learning process in this time. But it was not only a learning process, because it says in the verse 33 that we need to walk in all the ways which YaHuWaH your Elohim has commanded you in order to live. It's the obedience. No matter that we are in the learning process now, it requires from us to put into action, to learn this way, because that's going to be the only way that He is going to bless us. And that's going to be the only way that we're going to be able to cross the Jordan as we spoke. I just checked the time, and I think we need to finish the broadcast. Need to prepare for the virtual house church. But let me highlight a few things over here. I think, we have the Shema Israel in the verse 7. This is something that is really important for all of us. Is that Hear of Israel in the verse 4. YaHuWaH our Elohim, YaHuWaH is one. And you shall love YaHuWaH your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being and with all your might. These words which I command in you today shall be in your heart. That's why we need to take a look in our heart, that the fire is there, that YaHuWaH is waiting for us. And at the end of this passage, just to highlight a few things here, and this is something that has been in my heart as well, maybe to do a study about it, is do not try YaHuWaH your Elohim as you tried him in Massah. There are certain believers in these times that without realizing, they are trying YaHuWaH all the time. Especially with the medical establishment, and what has been happening in the last few days. That people saying, I will take anything because, YaHuWaH will save me. He won't allow anything to happen to me, any harm to happen to me. Isn't it that to try YaHuWaH? So this is something that we always need to think, how to put the word of YaHuWaH into practice in our lives. But it's something that I just wanted to mention. But at the end of this passage, there's something interesting. And, in the verse 23, is again repeating this two-step salvation. And He brought us out from there to bring us in, to give us the land of which He swore to our fathers. Two-step, getting out in order to get in. And He is the one doing all the process, but it requires our participation as well. And YaHuWaH commanded us to do all these laws, to fear YaHuWaH our Elohim for our good always, to keep us alive, as it is today. And listen to this. And it is righteousness for us when we guard to do all these commands before YaHuWaH our Elohim, as He commanded us. This is the clear definition of what is righteousness. Yahushua said that we need to seek the righteousness of the kingdom of YaHuWaH, the kingdom of the righteousness as our top priority in life. And what is righteousness? It is written here, plain text. It is righteousness for us when we guard to do all these commandments, when we keep Torah, when we are faithful to the covenant, when we love YaHuWaH. But when we do so, loving YaHuWaH by keeping His commandment, He will bless us. He will be merciful to us. And, I think I skipped something in the verse 20 that I think is important to highlight. And this is an amazing question that our sons could come and ask for us, but also we can ask ourselves the same question. It says, when your son asks you in time to come, saying, what is the meaning of the witnesses and the laws and the right rulings which YaHuWaH our Elohim has commanded you? So basically they're asking, what's the meaning of Torah? What is the meaning of all of this? Why you need to keep it? Why you are teaching me, in case of a children, to do so? And the answer is here. It says, then you shall say to your son, we were slaves of Pharaoh in Mizraim, and YaHuWaH brought us out of Mizraim with a strong hand. And YaHuWaH sent signs and wonders great and grievous upon Mizraim, upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household before our eyes. And he brought us out from there to bring us in, to give us the land of which he swore to our fathers. And YaHuWaH commanded us to do all these laws, to fear YaHuWaH our Elohim, for our good always, to keep us alive, as it is today. So the short answer, because in the answer is describing everything that YaHuWaH did for them. Why to keep Torah? Is remembering. YaHuWaH is remembering what he has done for us. But the bottom line and the short answer to the question is what is written in the verse 24. Is to fear YaHuWaH for our good, to stay alive. So keeping Torah is a matter of life. Keeping Torah is a matter of blessing. So YaHuWaH can do good to us. And it's to fear YaHuWaH. And if we fear YaHuWaH, that's the beginning of wisdom. So brothers and sisters, I'm not going to go to the chapter 7. I think I will let this you to go there. And there are a few important things. It's just basically why YaHuWaH decided to take Israel. And it's because of a vow that is still there, is still active for all of us. So I will invite you to read and complete the chapter, because there are multiple things that are so connected. That's why I love so much this book of the Devarim, Deuteronomy, because, it's a summary, a so beautiful summary of what YaHuWaH has been doing to all of us from the past till today, and what he will continue doing for all of us in the near future. But one thing that I will invite you to meditate about is what I was sharing with you and the insights and the highlights of what I felt in my heart in this portion today. It's about keeping that fire burning. It's up to us to do it. And if we do so, we are going to hear the voice of YaHuWaH. And we need to do so consciously in these days. We need to put the extra effort to get closer to YaHuWaH, not to know him intellectually, is to know him by our own experience. If you seek YaHuWaH with all your heart, things will happen. I can assure you. I have having those experiences in my life. You will feel those rivers of living waters inside you. You will feel his presence. You will get closer to him, knowing him. And that's the way he's inviting us to walk this way. Not intellectually only, but in experience, in spirit, experience, and in truth. So brothers and sisters, thank you so much. Wow, I see 60 of you connected. That's a blessing. So thank you so much for joining me. We will continue in Virtual House Church in the Rob channel in 40 minutes from now. So I will invite you to go there as well and to partake on what we have to share in the book of 2 Samuel. But as of now, thank you so much. I really hope you will continue having a blessed Shabbat and also blessed week. So I'm gonna put the song again. I hope it's gonna help you to meditate. And I'll see you in 40 minutes in the other channel. So thank you so much. YaHuWaH be with you all, and have a fantastic Shabbat. Bye.
באדוני, מי יקום במקום קודשו, מי יקרא בשם אדוני צבאות. מי יצום על בור החטא, מי יחזיק מעמד, מי ישמע את קול אדוני קורא ואומר, זהו דור נושע מבקשי פני שרים לי, כל הכבוד, כל הכבוד. זהו דור נושע מבקשי פני שרים לי, כל הכבוד. ונקום במקום קודשו, ונקרא בשם אדוני צבאות. ונצום על בור החטא, ונחזיק מעמד, ונשמע את קול אדוני קורא ואומר, זהו דור נושע מבקשי פני שרים לי, כל הכבוד, כל הכבוד. זהו דור נושע מבקשי פני שרים לי, כל הכבוד, 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 כל הכבוד. כל הכבוד לך על מה שעשית, על מה שאתה עושה, על מה שעוד תעשה. אבא, אבא טוב, אבא טוב. כי הפרוכת נקראה ואנחנו מתקרבים לתוך הקודש, קודש הקודשים. הפרוכת נקראה ואנחנו מתקרבים לתוך הקודש, קודש הקודש. הפרוכת נקראה ואנחנו מתקרבים לתוך הקודש. אבל מאמינים שהפרוכת נקראה ואנחנו מתקרבים לתוך הקודש, קודש הקודשים. כל הכבוד, כל הכבוד, כל הכבוד. מבקשי פניו שרים כל הכבוד, כל הכבוד, אנחנו דורשיו, מבקשי פניו שרים כל הכבוד.